Hello everybody, I'm Eric. Welcome back to my railway Harefield. Today I'm going to show you something that's 3D printed, which is very important to us London Underground modelers. So stay tuned. So those London Underground modelers amongst you all will notice that aside from conductor rails, we're also missing one other very important thing for a London Underground model railway. Now, with the help of a friend who goes by the name TIMBERSURF, we've been backwards and forwards coming up with these. Now, he has put hours and hours of work into these, and I'm very thankful to him. These will eventually be for sale through the Scale 3D website. You can also find details on his Facebook page. I'll put a link to it in the description below. But yeah, we've got a load of London Underground cable hangers, cable runs and cable arches, as well as train stops, which are very small, but you can just about make them out. So this has been backwards and forwards between us both for quite some time, coming up with various ideas, sending lots of pictures, measurements, all sorts, as you would expect. But we're pretty much there now, and I'm extremely happy with these. And I've got to say massive thank you to TIMBERSURF, because he's put so many hours and his own money as well into this, in sending me various prototypes to test out and see how they look on the layout compared to my various rolling stock. So to give you a bit of a run through, there are two main types of cable arch here. We've got the two types, so these are the final production versions. You've got a more curved version, and then you've got a squared off version with these sort of little cross supports in the center. Now they actually come in two halves. However, the little pieces here, they sort of overlap to help you glue it together. So all I use is super glue, and they're plenty strong enough. They're not going to go anywhere. You will also notice on the bottom, there are little posts so that you can simply drill a few little holes into your baseboard and they will slot in. So you don't even need to really glue them. I have experimented with these a little bit with this one you can see here, which is a single cable arch for people to walk through. So for workers, things like that. Now this one was on the layout. You might have seen it in the recent video. However, I've just pulled it off for this video. But I basically just drilled the holes, slotted it in, and it doesn't go anywhere. As long as you drill the holes a decent size for these little posts, then you won't have a problem. But of course, if you want it to be a permanent addition and you're happy with the placement, you can then go ahead and glue it. So you'll notice we've also got cable runs here. So this is how they'll come in this singular form. You can then glue them together to form this, as you'll see here. And this is one long piece now. And you can see, considering it's 3D printed, there is a lot of flexibility in there, so they're very resilient, and you can sort of create a nice long run and then paint it all up in one go, rather than doing individual little bits and stick them together. I wouldn't go too mad. I'd probably go this sort of length each one, and then maybe glue them in when they're on the layout, just so that you're not sort of dangling it around everywhere and potentially going to break something. You'll also see we've got these ones here which are slightly different. These are the ones that go across the wall, so they don't have the hanging down posts, as you can see. So the place I'm going to use these is over here in that tunnel. So they'll run along the tunnel wall. So you'll see them in real life. They'll actually be fixed to the wall rather than in the ground. So that's why we've got this type as well. As I mentioned, this is a cable arch for people to walk through. So you'll see this near access points and the like, so that track workers and maintenance staff can get through and across without having to climb over all the cable runs. The other odd one out in the group is this one here. You'll notice it's a little bit smaller. So this is actually a single cable arch for going over a single piece of track. However, take with a pinch of salt the height of it. This was the first design before it was revised to increase the height slightly. It'd be fine with tube stock, but with subsurface and network rail stock, they won't quite get underneath. It's about 20mm too short. That's why these ones are a little bit taller. So this is the final height. So this, if you order a single arch, they will come in this design. I just haven't got a single arch of the revised height to show you, hence that's here. But yeah, also very nice. You've got the little 90-degree bit of cable coming off, and then you've got a nice flat end to butt your cable runs up to and glue to, so it makes it nice and easy. And I must admit, the super glue does take really well to these. These are just super glued together with a tiny little dab, and you're not going to get them apart again. There's also little details like these little sleeve bits on various little runs, so you can mix and match to your heart's content. So how much this has changed since this version, I'm not sure, but this is how they come to me from TIMBERSURF in this nice sprue. So you've just got to be very careful, obviously, pulling them off, because at the end of the day, although they are 3D printed and very flexible, they are still brittle if you go too far. So you just want to be a little bit careful with a nice sharp blade and take the supports off, and that will leave you with something like this. And then you might have to do a small little tiny bit of cleanup here and there, but generally they're pretty good and not far off being ready to go straight away. So as you could probably guess, this is going to be the first area to have all this installed. Nicely modelled by our little 483 there. So I was thinking where to put one. Ideally, I would like to go across the centre, but generally you don't find them across 3 tracks. Hence, these are designed for 1 or 2. I was going to go across here and then have a singular one here as well, but then I figured for all the effort that's worth, it's probably more likely that they would have just put one up here. So I can just about fit it about halfway down the point, and then that'll work nicely. You can see also I've got an offset one, so you can mix and match, as I was saying before, so you can have them both sided. I've actually got one here to show you. So you can get them like this, where the cable runs both on the same side. So if your run is coming along, going over the arch and then back the other way, or you can get them opposite like this, which is going to be what mine needs, because as I say, this is going to fit somewhere around here. The advantage of that is we can use basically a bit of everything we've got. So I can use the normal cable hangers to go up until the bridge, and then inside the bridge along the wall I can use the wall mounted versions. So that will go to the end of the baseboard. Coming out this way, much the same again, the usual cable hangers coming down here, and then we'll have that single cable arch, which is for workers and people to get through. And then again, we'll just carry on with the regular cable runs. So we can basically make use of all of it here in this little area, so it's kind of perfect. So just placing some hangers there, you can see what I mean. So the arch is going to be around there somewhere, hangers are going to go along, and then I'll cut them off, and then we'll use the wall mounted ones to go further towards the end. So I'm going to go ahead and chuck some grey primer over this cable arch, and then I'm going to work out how long I need this and then cut it down to length, and then I will stick this to the arch, and then I'll stick the wall mounted piece to the end of this. And one other thing I did sort of cheat. On this section here, I cut off every other post. So you'll see this is a standard piece as they come, and you'll see we've got a long post on every other piece. Basically, just to save me drilling as many holes, I cut one off in the centre for each run. And I noticed that when I poke this in the hole, you can sort of manipulate it about as you want it. But you don't really need to drill all of the holes. It's handy to have them like this, however, because if you're, say, coming up to a baseboard join or something, you will obviously have an extra post there, so you'd want to leave that one on. But for just doing a long run on a basic baseboard, I'd be inclined to cut one off in between on every run. But everyone wants to do it different, and that's up to you. It's going to work different for everybody, so that's just what I'm doing. So there we go. I've grey primed it. I've then gone and painted the orange cable, which of course, remember, goes up on one and then comes down on a different line. So because I've painted the orange cable, the second one down, by the time it gets to the other side, it's the third one down. So remember, if you've already painted it on one side, remember to start with it the right way, because otherwise you'll be a bit annoyed with yourself by the time you've gone to all this trouble. But then the other 3 cables, I've just painted in matte black. I mean, it's probably not completely 100% prototypical. However, it's just basically to give an indication of what's there. And obviously it's going to match this nicely. Once all that's together, that'll sit nice. Obviously there is going to be another bit in between that because I need to get the space in. But that gives you an idea. Now, it does take a long time, but it's something that obviously do in your spare time and just sort of chill out, a bit of music going in the background, and then just sort of have a bit of fun with it. But don't want to go too mad because it just takes so long. So here we are then on the layout. You can see I've added a couple extra bits in just down here because obviously I don't want to go and stick this straight in place first, because I want it all to line up properly so that this arch is in the right place for where this gate sits. So obviously I want this cable arch to sit in the center of the gate, so that's going to be around there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this in first, and then I'm going to do the holes for this. But this is roughly where it will sit. I mean, it'll be at a slightly different angle to that, sort of that kind of angle. So if you look straight on, it's straight. It'll follow the railway a little bit. I mean, it might be a very slight angle, but you get what I'm sort of on about. But yeah, so I'm going to basically use a little marker pen. You can see I put some sellotape down, some masking tape down here, sorry. And I'm going to go along, basically prop this up as best I can, and then go along with a marker pen and just put a dot next to where I need to drill all the holes. But yeah, I'm going to draw along there with a permanent marker, the dots. I'm going to drill it out, and then I'm going to try and sort of get it to a point where the drill holes are obvious enough that I can find them, because that is something I noticed before. Hence, I'm going to try it with the tape first and see if maybe I can rip the tape out from under it when it's in. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Where's the next one? There it is. And then over here. So I'm thinking about there roughly. What I'm then going to do is take the fence out of the way. Because I know what will happen is I'll be drilling in, I'll slip, and then I'll ruin the fence. Take my advice, don't do that. Nope, nearly broke it already. Right, there we are. So, start this end. Right, that's that. Hopefully, I'll be able to find the holes now. Well, hey, insert joke here. Soon find out. I'm hoping. Right, they're all in the holes. I don't know if this will work, but I did want to try and pull the masking tape out. Maybe if I get a little knife. Right, so we're fitting, hopefully with a little knife. If I just slit the back of the tape. I'm hoping that I can pull the tape out from underneath it. Like that. Trust me, I've obviously been playing about with this a little bit and trying to find the holes you've drilled when you've already static grassed, you'll be there all day. And you'll also end up messing the static grass up, so that's working actually, I think. That one, that one, that one. Apologies if my hand's in the way of the camera. You got one there. There's one there. And if I cut that tape there. Voila! Love it when the plan comes together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that all down. So it's nicely in place. The other thing is, if you don't use all the supports like I'm doing, it leaves it all a bit up and down, wavy in places, which I quite like the look of actually. Looks like it's sort of been there for a while and worn into the surroundings, if you like. But yeah, that's not looking too bad as it is there. You can see the problem here I had is I had to fit this because of the gate. And then I can go along and fit this section, because this obviously we want it to bar up neatly against this one. And that then denotes where the arch is going to go. And the arch has got to go in a certain place because of this post over here, and then where it goes along the wall. So you could see the dilemma, but hopefully that's going to work. So I'm going to do the same process to fit this arch and these runs, and then we'll come back. There we are then. That section's now all in. And it's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. So the join is down here. You can see I can move them separately. I was going to try and glue them together, but I figured they're close enough where the average Joe isn't going to spot that. It's only me really that's going to notice it, or you guys now that I've told you. Otherwise you'd be looking very, very, very close to actually notice it. I mean, if I zoom you in, you can see it there in the middle of the screen. It's not really noticeable at all. But I'm really pleased. You can see we've got the section along the wall there as well, which looks pretty cool. So we've used all three sort of bits, four different bits actually. So obviously we've got the wall, the walling section of the cable run, we've got a standard section of cable run. We have got the more square version of the arch. We've got more of the standard cable run. We have got a cable bridge for people to go under, and then more standard cable run. I've got a load more that I'm starting to paint up now. As you can see, got another long length, which is going to go further along here to finish this area off. But obviously I'll do this once the video is finished, I think. But yeah, I'm going to chuck the fence back now to give you the sort of full effect of how it's going to look. So up until the bridge, it's going to be pretty nice. So there's the fence back in. It's a bit dark on this side because I haven't finished the lighting on this end board yet. But you can see from this view, it's really quite effective. And if I take you around the other side, see there as well, it's going to look really good. So earlier on, I mentioned that in the package I got from Timbscale were also train stops. Now this is them before painting. I'm going to just paint them up in a grey primer probably, and then when I've weathered all the track, I'll paint them up nicely and give them a good weathering. But these basically are London Underground's sort of safety system. On the National Rail Network you have TPWS, but on the Underground you have train stops and tripcocks. So we've got 2 in the up position and we've got 2 in the down position. So you'll see there's these little lever arms, and they are basically held in the up position by a spring so that they're fail safe. So you lose all the air supply, they come up. They then contact a little tripcock, which will be on the first bogie. Obviously it's not modelled here on the Bachmann S-Stock because Bachmann. But you'd have basically a little arm sticking down, and when that comes into contact with this, it'll basically vent off the air supply for the brakes, so that the brakes come on in an emergency and stop the train. So due to the nature of them, they'll sit before signals, or they will go on the entrance to a station because they also work for overspeed scenarios. So yeah, I'm going to paint them up now. I'm going to fit them in place, and if I'm pretty happy with how they look, I'll send some pictures to TIMBERSURF, and hopefully they'll be available also through Timbscale in the near future. So that's them painted up then. I've used off-white sort of ivory colour for around the sides and the train stop arm. I've then used a satin 165 Humbrol grey for the top, and then I've used a burnt umber for the wooden ramps. And I've got a little bit of burnt umber mixed in with the tops in certain places. You can just see a little wisp of brown here and there just to dirty them up slightly. Obviously when I airbrush the track finally, they will also get a bit of a dusting over, which will blend them all in. But you can see they look really good. It brings out all the detail as well. You can see the arms, they're really well done. They're nice and crisp as well, these prints. So all I'll do now is, once they're dry, I've just satin lacquered them, flat lacquered them with some Tamiya. So yeah, once they're dry, I will release them from the sprues, and then I will put them on the layout. So there we are then. There's one fitted. You probably can't see it too well because the lighting's quite bad. But I do plan to have a fixed red signal just here off the end of the platform. Hence, I've gone for one of the train stops with the arm up. Traffic will obviously be able to come this way, but I don't want anything going further this direction. Certainly not while you lot are looking. So we've got that one down there. So that'll be sort of opposite where a fixed red will be, as I say. And then I've put a second one down this end of the layout alongside this signal. So if you pass this signal at danger, obviously that'd stop you. But I've put this one in the down position. I've done that because this signal, obviously, usually you've got trains running past it. But in the grand scheme of things, I suppose most people wouldn't notice what position the arm is in. However, I just thought, since I've got both types, I'll use both types. But it gives you an idea sort of where they go. I looked at a couple of pictures online, and Underground seems to be in line, if not just behind the signal. So that should work nicely. So one last thing to show you, which is very overdue, is this modular suburban house kit from Timbscale. I've had this for probably over a year now, so TIMBERSURF, when you watch this, I am sorry. I haven't pulled my finger out. I think I got this lot before I got the cabin, hence it all sort of stalled and took a back seat. But basically, this is a modular system to suit the Bachmann suburban houses, which you would have noticed I've got on Breakspear. So if you ever saw this walling and the garages in the background and wondered where it was all from, it's from Timbscale to perfectly suit these houses. Obviously, you can get these in a full version, you don't have to get low relief houses. However, the garages are low relief to suit these perfectly. So they've all been designed by TIMBERSURF as part of the Timbscale range. And you can see there's multiple designs. Obviously, I've not got around to painting it all yet. I've chucked a little Mark 1 Golf there just so you can see the garage for size against a 176 scale car. Don't get confused with Hot Wheels like I did before. Hot Wheels are actually slightly over scale for us lot. So if you think you're going to fit a Hot Wheels car in here, then think again, because I stupidly cut the front off one thinking I could have the bonnet sticking out and it didn't fit. But I will get another old Volkswagen similar to this and probably do the same procedure again. But aside from that, to run you all through, so you can see there are different types of garages. There are prefab concrete ones and brick garages, and there are a variety of front doors you can put on them. So you've got from split doors to single rising doors, as you can see there. The garages have got little pegs in. You can probably just about see inside that one, little pegs on the side at the top and bottom. That is to allow you to basically slide a door in and you can pose it as you want. So you can see this door is up and over. This one is a sort of 3/4 relief door, so it sits a little bit further back when it's in the up position. But obviously, in that case, it means it won't meet the floor, so you have to have that open. You've got these ones which are split in the centre, the same as the ones you saw over here, which obviously you just use a bit of glue and glaze for the window apertures. But yeah, they all go together really nice. And obviously the fencing at the front, the walls, all complement them too. You've got various designs here, so from fully brick over to like wooden gates, things like that. And the single gates as well, all match up. And the brick walls, basically, they are a modular setup, so you get half of a wall. If you look at these, this is what you'll get. So you've got your front gates for the driveway, and you'll get the two halves of the wall, which look like this. And you'll see the little pegs there for the gate to sit off. And on the inside, you see they've got little pegs, so they basically should clip together. You might have to do a little bit of fettling, of course, being 3D printed, the nature of them. But with a little bit of work, as you can see, you can get them to go together quite nicely. So I've got one gate there open. I will leave, when I put the gate on that one, I will leave the gates open as if the car is coming out, I think. And then, of course, I'll carry it on as we go. You've also got two different types of capping stone for the tops of the walls. You can see we've got the ball type there on this house, and then we've got the flat type on the rest so far. But it's really nice having the mixture, so you can really mix and match it. I mean, I grew up in houses that look like that, and they have all different walls, so it's nice to be able to sort of customise it as you go. So this is just a snippet of what's available that I thought I'd show you all. Obviously, it's a shame I haven't painted it all up yet, but the focus is the main layout at the minute. So once the main layout is up to a decent standard, then I'll go ahead and finish Breakspear off. But I hope you'll agree that once that's all painted up and finished off, that's really going to work perfectly for these houses. Obviously, these houses aren't cheap from Bachmann, so you want something to be able to complement them, and this will work perfectly. So that just leaves me to say thank you for watching. Thank you to TIMBERSURF. I'll chuck a link to his Facebook below, which is Timbscale 3D Prints. I'll also put a link to the Scale 3D website, which is run by a chap called Stuart, lovely guy. And you can get all sorts of 00 gauge figures from him. Most of the figures on my layout behind, when the figures are actually on there, you would have noticed are from Scale 3D. All the figures on Breakspear are from Scale 3D. So make sure to check them out as well. And obviously that will be where the Timbscale products are sold when they're available. I'll put a post up or something on the London Underground Model Railways page, and probably my Instagram when they do become available, because I know there's a lot of you guys asking me for details on this, hence doing the video. So yeah, hopefully you found that somewhat interesting. If this is your sort of thing, let me know in the comments below if you've got any suggestions for future ideas which we could talk about getting drawn up. And I'll see you in the next video, I suppose. So from me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.